Hello, Troy. This is Regal View.
Hey, welcome to the Review, a show where two small-town dudes give you our big golden collar opinions. I am Troy to the max extreme.
Oh, yeah, I'm JT3K.
JT3K!
And today we are going over another Sundance classic from this last year that I missed throughout the year.
A film we missed in 2018.
And it is Sorry to Bother You. Quite an interesting premise when I saw the trailer.
Yeah.
I thought, along with this and like Black Klansman, I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like a weird type of movie that I wouldn't necessarily see. And I'm glad it came out in like a smaller release and got like pretty good acclaim. Because like otherwise I'm like, I might skip this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was definitely quite a bit of a ride it took on me.
Yeah.
Like going from the trailer to actually what happens in the movie, you would be a bit surprised.
Yeah.
It gets a bit surreal.
Yeah. I know a lot of people have kind of like compared this as like this year's Get Out. And I'm like, no.
I don't think so either.
I don't think this is this year's Get Out. I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just saying no.
I would say only very tangentially, loosely. Sure.
Yeah.
Yes, it's this year's Get Out.
I mean,
but I don't
it does make a statement on certain race issues, but I think that's the only thing that it really has to compare itself to Get Out.
Yeah. Yes, I would agree. So yeah, Sorry to Bother You. This is what's coming up down the pipeline right now.
Right, immediately.
I'm hitting you with the facts right now, JT, whether you like it or not.
I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign the contract.
Well, yeah, you kind of did. You're in for the long haul.
That's
there was
true.
no real paperwork, but we bought beer for this. So
we did. That's pretty much the contract for the show. Once a 12-pack is bought, you're stuck.
You're in it. Sorry, buddy. This technically debuted January 20th.
Ooh.
But didn't make its real debut until Sundance, July 6th, 2018.
Some release.
Finding its wide release a mere week later after Sundance.
Gotcha.
On the 13th of the same year.
Yeah.
2018. With a budget of $3.2 million, domestically made $17.5 million.
Wow. 3.2. Wow, we did some small budget ass movies this week.
Yeah. Worldwide, it was not released.
Okay.
So 17.5 is where it stands.
Gotcha.
Rotten Tomatoes has it at 93%. IMDb has it at a 7 out of 10. And Sean Leathers gives it a thumbs down.
Whoa,
That's
Sean
right.
Leathers.
Yeah. Sean had a hot take.
Whoa.
Sean
Leathers.
I went and did...
Sounds like a porn star.
I don't know what he is or not, but he did give it a thumbs down. I read his review.
Yeah.
He has some valid points in it. I wouldn't agree completely with his review, but he said that at one point it got too ridiculous for him, and he didn't finish the movie.
Whoa.
So that's how strongly
We'll
he felt.
see if he made a mistake.
We'll see.
Or not.
Sean Leathers.
Sean Leathers.
That'd be my newest
He was too busy
favorite
filming
review.
a porn.
Yeah. I mean, watch out, box office mom. Sean Leathers
Sean Leathers is gunning for your spot, box office
he's
mom.
taking the world by storm.
You better start reviewing more stuff, box office mom, or Sean Leathers is gonna move right in on your spot.
You better believe it.
A celebrity death match. Sean Leathers versus box office mom.
Thumbs versus buckets.
Put a thumb in her bucket.
JT, could you try to summarize this movie in a little tight little package?
I can try. We follow a young man by the name of Cassius Green, who is trying to find a job because he is on the poor end of things, and he finds a job at a call-in service called Regal View.
Telemarketing.
Of course, where he calls people to sell random things, and if you become successful at said job, you become what is called a power caller.
Mm-hmm. Oh, power! I think it's a golden caller. God damn it!
Where you rise up the ranks to sell more
lucrative.
Yeah, I would say lucrative things, but all this takes place in a very outlandish reality that is very
Watching your face trying to tread through this carefully without spoiling
I don't want to spoil anything.
Fun for me.
Yeah, it's a very strange universe where they comment on different things in our own reality. So yeah, there you go.
Okay. The trailer for this movie made it seem pretty fun. The trailer is pretty much, this is the gist of the trailer. The main character, Cassius, gets a job at a telemarketer, and in order for him to rise in the ranks of it, he needs to put on a white voice in order to do so.
Who's voiced by David Cross.
And once he starts doing that, he starts finding a little bit more fortune on his side.
Yeah.
And then that's pretty much all I got from the trailer, besides a few other weird, surreal points in this, but it doesn't really get into like the odd aspects of the movie in the trailer.
Yeah,
that's very surprising.
Near the end, it gets very odd, like very out there. Like I'm not gonna say whether I liked it or I hate it. I'm just gonna say it gets out there.
You don't see it coming at all.
No, it's pretty nuts.
So that could be a little bit misleading from the trailer, but regardless of what if you like to be surprised during a movie, it could be a good grace for you.
Yeah.
But I will say, I don't think the trailer represents this movie well enough.
Okay.
Well, just the premise alone that the trailer sets, I was already on board.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, they're playing with like a race thing on like how the only way you can succeed is if he like portrays himself as a white man.
Yeah.
But like he's not seen. So like, is that going to play a part once he gets higher up the chain of command or whatever like that? So I was already on board with that. And then once that starts, that's like only like a real minor blip in the movie.
Yeah.
Where it's like once he does get higher on the corporate ladder, but then from there things go very differently.
Yeah. I remember when I brought this up when I said that I watched it on the show. I said that one of the things that I had the most major gripe about was that I felt like this movie tries way too hard to comment on way too many things.
Okay, I could see that.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, do you see that?
Yeah,
it's like they comment on things, even like things that don't really pertain to the story. They just kind of comment on them, where you're like, oh, okay, so and that's a thing, but I mean, you could have spent that time actually like trying to develop like what you're really trying to say. Like they do. There's like a scene where they're at a bar, and Cassius is like, "Oh, was that the VIP spot back there?" And like, "Oh yeah, that's like I even know what the password is. Just say this and you can get in." And then he gets in, and it's like it's super crowded and really loud. You can't really do anything, and like everyone's spilling their drink on him and stuff. And then he gets back out to the actual bar where it's like comfortable and everyone's like just being like chill, and he's like, "That was awesome."
Right.
Where it's like, yeah, everyone wants to be the VIP in a bar, but like it's not really VIP because there's more people in the VIP spot than there is in the actual bar. I get what you're saying, but did you really need to put that in this movie?
I thought that too. I was like, what was the point of that? Because it never comes really back up again.
No, like I understand, like yeah, okay, that's a really cool concept, but it doesn't pertain too much to what you're really trying to say.
I guess like maybe in the beginning of the movie it would make more sense because he is kind of trying to chase like a dream of like being a better person, or like at least being not a better person, but like
Be more interesting, because he even says that at one point.
Yeah. Like making more money, having more things happen.
Yeah, and I understand that, and like that's part of the reason why I like him and Tessa Thompson's relationship so much, which I'll get to in more. But yeah, like he strikes you as someone that's like, he even sees his dad as someone that was way more successful than him, and that's why he always has his picture up whenever he's like doing something. That's like his driving force to like keep striving to be more successful. But yeah, like they do these weird kind of detours where you're like, I mean, yeah, that's a thing, but I feel like you could have used that time to really draw out what the real message of the whole movie is.
Yeah, even just for instance, at the telemarketer office, like right as he gets in the gate, like they make a big deal to stick to the script, blah 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 blah, and like you can tell that like that's like a hindrance for him in order to get sales. But like Danny Glover next to him, it's like, oh, you need to put on your white people voice in order to do it. And then when he does it, he's got like, I can't remember who voices him in his white person voice, but does it once.
Yeah. And
then I'm like, oh, that's pretty funny.
Because Patton Oswalt is like the voice of the Mr. Bleep guy.
And then from there, like, does he follow the script with a white person voice?
No, well, they set up where it's like you have to. It's not so much following the script as it is you have to insinuate that you're way more successful than what you are.
Right.
Like that's what Danny Glover like puts across to him, where it's like you have to like put across the idea that you have way more shit than you have. Like that's the essence of a white person voice, is that like you have no worries in life whatsoever because you are taking part in whatever product you're trying to sell.
Regardless, you can get from the trailer that he finds success when he finally clicks on his white person voice.
Yeah.
And it's David Cross of all people. Which, like, if he called me on the phone, I'm like, what is this?
I know, like, even, like, when he's, like, doing things where, like, he's, like, Lakeith Stansfield is talking as David Cross, and David Cross is like, "What's up, my brother?"
Like, David Cross would not convince me to do anything. It would need to be something like John Hamm or something like that. David Cross would not do anything for me.
Oh man, it'd be real sexy if you took part in this white slavery type thing that I'm trying to sell you.
And then, so once he does get up to the upper echelon, it was like, oh, but well, before even that, so like, he is kind of finding success in his job, and all the same time, everybody else in his whole little office area is having like, trying to perform like almost a coup, a strike.
Yeah, they're doing a strike. Yeah.
In order to get paid more.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, they're not getting paid enough.
And he's
phones down.
He's all for everybody getting like a better equal pay for what they do, but at the same time, like, he's kind of in a tough spot where he's also getting promoted, so he's also getting like better treatment and everything, and he's still looking out for himself.
Yeah,
like he wants to be making more money for himself and all
but
that
yeah,
stuff.
but they frame it in a way where it's like, oh, and you're like, once you get promoted, like, you're not part of them, like you're going up, so it's like they're not gonna give a shit if you go up. Where like, I guess I can take it. And it won't make that big of a deal.
Another character I liked in this too was that like the lady consultant character.
Oh yeah, what they say their name? Oh,
I can't remember her name. I could probably look it up, but
yeah,
like she was.
It was
like, cracking me
she
up.
said she said her last name was debauché or whatever, and it's like, you mean debauchery? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was debauchery. Her last name was debauchery, and it's like, you mean debauchery? Like, no, it's debauchery.
I really liked her, even though she had like a small part. There was even like points in this too.
Yeah, when she was putting the code for the elevator to get up to the power collar
Right.
floor, and she's just doing it forever. And it's like, do you need some help? Or it's just, no, I got this. And it's just like, like, so many.
The whole time, like, she's going up to, like, I loved every time that he was in the elevator.
Yeah.
And like,
And the elevator just like pretty much like blowing him verbally, like, you have such a big dick.
yeah. But I liked that also too, like, she was totally falling for him and like trying to get in his pants for all that type of shit. And like, God, I'm like not, she doesn't have any picture. But yeah, Diana Debauchery.
Yeah.
Debauché.
Debauchery is her fucking name.
But yeah, I liked it. I thought I've seen her in other things too, but
I know, she looked like really, she looks like a younger Catherine Hahn, the chick from Step Brothers that tries to fuck the...
Yeah. I'm going through like her, she was in Ghosted. Maybe she was in the pilot of that we saw.
Maybe.
Yeah, otherwise, like, I don't think she's been in anything else that I've seen.
Old Debauchery.
Debauchery. Huh. Oh, well. Anyway, she's got, like, a super small part, but she was great in it.
Yeah, no, she's funny.
So, from the trailer, the kind of like surreal moments in this don't really hold a candle to what really happens in this.
Yeah.
Because there's only a few times where it's like, oh, it looks like it's kind of like a heightened reality type of thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, that could be fun.
For the most part, it is up to like the last 20 minutes.
Yeah. And full disclosure, so I had a rough night last night with a sick, throwing up child.
Yeah.
And I watched this movie today, kind of half in and out of consciousness.
Yeah.
And so when it got to the turn, I was almost comatose. And so, like, I'm going to lean on JT a little bit here to help me through the ending of this.
You're fine.
But, like,
yeah. It resonated with me enough where I think I can help us both
I
out.
saw the ending, and they lead up to it a little bit in there, like before the last 20 minutes. But I'm just still at the point where I'm like, what is happening in this?
Yeah.
Like, what really happened? Like, let's just get into spoilers in this. So, like, what?
Oh, yeah.
When he gets into the super callers...
Power caller.
God damn it, the power callers.
Yeah.
They're like selling like really lucrative stuff. Like
they're selling slave labor because you see commercials for it throughout the movie where they're selling this place called Worry Free, where like you sign a lifetime contract and they supply you boarding and food, but in return you have to work for free,
right,
for them for whatever. Like
right.
they supply you with whatever you need in terms of how to live, but you pretty much have to work whenever they tell you to work.
Yeah.
And then when you become a power caller, you basically sell Worry Free to different corporations to buy it as their primary source of workforce.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's the main thing where it's like that's like my one major problem with the movie is that like I feel like Boots Riley has things to say in this, and I appreciate like when you're like taking a very outlandish way of trying to say things, but it reminded me a lot of the show Atlanta, where I feel like if you watch an episode of Atlanta, they lead you up to that point, but like Boots Riley, like from like scene one is like, It's about slavery. We're gonna talk about like modern day slavery right now. Get ready. We're gonna talk about modern day slavery. Like, I get it. I'm just, and then the rest of it is just like, well, I gotta waste some time before we get into the modern day slavery stuff. So, aren't VIP sections just full of people, and then the regular section isn't? Like, oh yeah, I guess it is. What does that have to do with the actual? Isn't rap music just about saying the N-word constantly? Yeah, I guess it is, dude. Like,
I don't know. Sure.
yeah, like he's just like, I feel like he has like a core thing he wants to talk about, but he blows his wad like in the first 5 minutes, and then the rest of it's just like, oh shit. Well, now what do I do? Well, I guess I'll say this. I guess I'll talk about how going viral isn't the best thing. I guess I'll talk like, okay, I get it, but like you do have this story you could have led up to where it's like, okay, where are you going? And then when you get to it, you're like, oh shit, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But like he blows his wad like the first 5 minutes, and then it's like, oh shit, well now what do I say?
I'm not like 100% behind that. Like, I do feel like there's things that he added in this that aren't necessary to the story, because this movie is almost 2 hours long.
Yeah.
And I don't think it needs to be at all. There's, and like, it's not like all the little other things like that VIP section thing would take like all that much time out of the movie, because it takes like maybe 2 minutes.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's fine for what it is. Like, it's not like, it doesn't like take up so much time where you're like, where the fuck are they going?
Yeah.
But it's enough where it's like, so is that gonna be a thing?
Yeah,
No?
exactly. Like, do I need this for the ending of the movie?
Yeah.
No, it's like, it's a lot of like, felt like spinning wheels or wasted time. Like, if you wanted to comment on it, that's fine, but then make it like mean something. You're just trying to say everything all at once.
Yeah, like by all means, like I don't hate this movie. I actually think like I want to see more stuff by this director and writer, because like I feel like he does have a means of telling a story that I feel like is poignant, where it's like, yeah, I mean, I want to see you try and make a point through this lens where it's like everything is super stylized and overhyped to where it's like it almost makes you like take a step back, where it's like, I mean, that's outlandish, but it's not too far outlandish to what's going on today.
Right. It like slightly elevates it to like a minor cartoony levels, which is fine.
Yeah.
Like, it's fun.
Like, it makes you say, well, that would never happen. And then when you actually look at what's going on today, you're like, but I mean, that's not as far off as I thought it would be.
Yeah. I want to see more from this guy too, but at the same time, like, this one out of the gate, like, had a great premise. Yeah, I was hooked on just what the trailer had, and then I guess going into it, I was like, oh man, this is like just a minor thing of what the trailer said it was giving me.
I think it's he kind of suffers from like this is your first movie, so now you are like, I gotta say everything that's on my mind right now. Yeah. Kind of thing. Like, he says like, there's like the random scene at the party where like they just make him rap for no reason. So then he's like, oh, okay, I guess I'll try and rap and I'll say this, and then everyone's just like not really into it, and then he yells N-word shit over and over again to rap music, and everyone's like, yeah! Where it's like, okay, I get it. Yeah, people are relying too much on the N-word when it comes to rap. I get it. But how does it relate to like the rest of the story? Like, I get that that's a point, but it's like, I feel like you could have used this time to say this point to really hammer home the point you're trying to get through the whole movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I do agree with that. Going on with like the actual plot of the movie, Armie Hammer's in this.
Yeah.
He is like the CEO of this.
Yeah.
What is it called? AmeriCorp? What is it called?
No, Worry Free.
Worry Free. I think AmeriCorp is from Workaholics.
Yeah.
Not that it's... well, it is very different. I was going to say, not that it's all that different, but it is. It's very different.
Before we get into Armie Hammer, what'd you think of Tessa Thompson as Cassius's girlfriend?
I thought she was good at one point, but then I feel like she gets like upset with him once he starts being successful for like no reason. Like,
No. Oh, go ahead.
because she said she liked him more before.
Yeah.
But then before, she was complaining that he was kind of a deadbeat and doesn't do anything and, like, needs to be more successful. So when he finally does, even though he, like, kind of, like, goes against, like, the whole group mentality in that call center and, like, finally finds success for himself and is doing these successful things, like, then she has an issue with it. And, like, yeah, he is, like, now busier where he's, like, maybe he can't pick her up from, like, her other job where she, like, spins signs around.
Yeah, she spins a sign in front of a sign store. I thought that was kind of funny. She's just spinning a sign that says signs.
Or she's also, like, an artist trying to make, like, a whole, like, a collection.
Yeah.
And she also works in the call center. So, I don't know. I'm like up and down with her.
A part of me thinks that she was pretty interesting because I feel like she, like, I don't want to talk shit about. I feel like I talk shit about female characters on this all the time. Like I come off as some weird sexist, but I feel like her character is supposed to kind of come off as like kind of vain, where like. Because this movie is so literal and everything that she does is like so artistic that like her art makes no sense. Mm-hmm. Like even that scene when like I can't remember what it was, but like he goes and visits her gallery before it opens, and she's like, "Man, you got a lot of Africas around here. You have like a lot of really big Africas. Like what's the deal?" And then she just kind of goes into like this weird diatribe, and I try to like listen into it, and it's like. This thing she's trying to explain about her gallery showing of all these Africas, it makes no sense.
Right.
She's just like, well, Africa's big. Africa's got all this stuff. I mean, blah, 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 blah.
But at the same time, like, the movie muffles it out because the guy wants is a joint.
Oh, yeah,
That's all he's looking at.
Yeah, I know, but, like, you, like, listen, like, everything she does artistically, it's just, like, it sounds smart, but, like, if you really kind of dissect it, it's really stupid. And I think that's what her character's supposed to be. Like, even, like, her gallery showing when he goes and shows up to it, where it's literally all over the place. Like, she's wearing rubber gloves over her private parts, reciting lines to some weird-ass fucking TV show, while people are throwing exports from Africa at her. And while she has, like, well, half the crowd is... like, stuffed with these weird cement dummies and portraits of Africa all over the place. Where it's like, what does this mean?
Yeah. But, I mean, that could be... I don't know. It could mean absolutely nothing. It could have been just, like, a fun little thing. It's like, she's going to be, like, a weird, eccentric artist, and, like, the director is like, I know this is going to make any sense. Just make her, like, weird, eccentric... to make it seem like she thinks she's above everybody else.
Yeah, but it really that's the thing. Nothing. Yeah, that's the thing. And I think that's why they get to the whole point where, like, she dumps Cassius is because her only interest in Cassius was because that she could feel above him. And now that he has a job that is above her, that she feels inferior and then she has to dump him. Like, granted, like, he's doing some shady-ass shit. Like, that's the reason she gives for it. But she even says, like, I mean, I kind of dumped the whole group that's protesting just to be with you because I felt it was awkward, where it's like, well, if you really felt for the cause, you would have dumped him.
Yeah.
But she's like, I mean, I dumped them because I thought you were getting successful, so I stayed with you, but now you're selling slavery, oh man, I gotta dump you now.
Right. But to defend Cassius here... like, at the very beginning of the movie, it was a very fun scene where, like, he's doing his interview for the telemarketing job.
Yeah, and he
makes up all this shit where he's like, yeah, I worked at this restaurant for 5 years, and then as a teller in this bank, and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then his boss is like, well, I was the manager of that
Yeah.
bank for 2 years, and I call bullshit on you, and that.
I know. She like talks about how genuine he was before he got the job, and then they like the first scene you see him in, he's lying to this fucking dude about everything that he's accomplished to get this fucking telemarketing job.
Uh-huh.
But in the same sense, they show how full of shit she is because he goes and visits her at her expo or her showing, and she's like playing up this British accent. When like, but in the scene before this, she like berates him for using his white person voice. And then he goes and visits her at her gallery, and she's like, well, as you can see, I have these random pictures of Africa you can see. I was like, that's not your fucking voice. Like, you just yelled at me about using a voice. Like,
Right.
you almost dumped me. Like, she, like, almost dumped him for that shit.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So it's like, they show how full of shit she is based on, like, what, like, he's full of shit too, but it's like, they kind of go back and forth where it's like how hypocritical she is, but it's because he's becoming more successful than her using his other voice as opposed to her other voice.
Right.
Where they're pretty much doing the exact same thing, only he's using his voice to do some probably shadier shit than she is.
Right. At first, I thought that like I knew the white person voice was coming up in it just due to the trailer or whatever, but the movie seems to set it up as like they really drive home like stick to the script. So I thought it was going to be a thing where like secretly he just goes off script and tries to like get to know these people he's on the phone with, and then he succeeds from there. Because any other movie would kind of drive you to the point where it's like he's going to go against authority and do his own thing to succeed.
Yeah.
And like that's not really what happens. Like he puts on like the white person voice so people on the other side don't know what kind of person they're talking to, and kind of like dive into this fake nonsense that he's selling them, blah 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 blah, and then he succeeds from there. And then from there, once he gets to the power callers, did I say it right this time?
Yeah.
Yes. Like it gets like once he was getting from the tour from Mr. Blank,
Yeah.
or Mr. Bleep, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah. Because
Like,
I never say his name.
I found it weird too that they bleeped out his name. I liked it, and I was like,
Well, no, I have a theory on that too, but we can get to that later.
let me finish my thought. And then it kind of gets surreal because like upstairs in like the secret elevator, like it's a total open layout. There's like people just lounging around doing calls and doing whatever they want. But like the calls that they make and the stuff that they sell is like totally different. It's not like a box set of encyclopedias. It could be like nuclear weapons or what know what, like big heavy shit or whatever.
Yeah, they insinuate that it's like weapons and this worry-free shit.
Yeah. And that's where he really and then gauging by his success that he's already had as being a good salesman, like he ends up succeeding there and blah blah blah, he keeps working up the chain or whatever.
And I like all that shit too because they insinuate that power is definitely attained through salesmanship. I mean, hell, fucking, not to get political, but our fucking president is a fucking salesman.
Yeah.
That's the only thing he's ever been successful at.
It
is.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. They say he's a fucking real estate mogul, but bullshit. He's millions of dollars in debt, went bankrupt twice. He's a fucking piece of shit that just knows how to sell his brand.
Yeah, that's very true.
all that he's good at.
Yeah.
And this movie puts over where it's like all you need to do is sell. If you can sell anything to anybody, you're going to make as much money as you possibly can, as long as you have no fucking value whatsoever.
But from where he makes that jump from the call center up into the higher echelon, the upstairs, I'll just say.
Yeah.
That's where it starts to make the jump into like the weird like jumps in like logic and surrealness, where it's like, oh, okay, so this is like going for something really weird here.
Yeah.
Especially even when the white voice thing didn't really like take me into the surreal so much as like I thought it was like a fun little quirk of the movie.
Yeah.
But then it also does add, once you get farther into the movie, it's like, oh, they're doing like some really weird shit, like this freaking slavery angle and like blah 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 blah. And then
but like, I mean, they do like small bits of it throughout. Like they'll do like commercials, or they'll do like there's like a scene where they do like a MTV Cribs edition where it's like, hey, I'm working at Worry Free. Check out my bunk, yo.
Yeah.
Where
This is where the magic happens, and he's sharing a room with 6 people or whatever.
I live in this room with 6 people, and now I'm eating off this fucking this school lunch tray of slop. Look at my shit, yo.
Yeah, it's pretty great. And then there's like that game show, like beat the shit out of me or whatever it is.
You kicked the shit out of me.
But then when it finally makes the real, do you want to talk about Army Hammer now? Or do you have anything else to say?
No. I mean, we could talk about Army Hammer. There's another thing when we get to like the you kick the shit out of me thing involving him, but that's after Army Hammer.
Okay. Well, go ahead. Say your thoughts on Army Hammer then, because I know you.
I thought Army Hammer was amazing in this, just based off the fact that he played like a really good villain. Because they play him up as like the typical like CEO mogul, where it's like he's basically selling people as not people, but like pieces of property. Like he sees them more as like a piece of machinery as opposed to just a person, and that's why he comes up with this idea, which is like the big turning point at like where there's like 20 minutes left in the movie, where he's found a way to mutate people into these weird horse people that are equisapiens, that they call them.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I didn't hate this part. I liked it quite a bit, actually, where it's like they're playing up where they literally could care less about these people that are under contract with them, that they're willing to turn them into a completely different species of person.
Yeah.
To just like up their intake or up their productivity.
Yeah. To make them workhorses.
Yeah, literally workhorse people.
This was like one of the points where I kind of like missed that like jump in logic. Like I'm like, why did this happen? Like, did they say that like what he was creating this whole like, I saw the part where at least I was cognizant enough to like when I see Cassius go nuts because he thought he did like a line of blow that was going to turn him into like this horse person or whatever.
Yeah.
And he was asking everybody to look at his dick if it looked bigger because he didn't want to.
So that was the one thing that he says, like, your dick, you're gonna get a horse cock. If you become an equisapien, you get a fucking horse cock.
Yeah, just give me 5 years or whatever it is. But then I was like, what did I drift off and miss something big here? Because this is like a big deal that now there's horse people involved in this movie.
Well, when you watch that video, they put over the fact that because now that he's gotten to the point where he has Worry Free and he's literally selling people to corporations for nothing because he has them under this lifetime contract where all he has to do is give them food and shelter. Like, now that he has all these people, there's only so much he can get out of them because they're humans. So now the only other step from there is to turn them into something that makes them more productive in terms of strength and speed and, as he says, hopefully, like, obey. They obey him better. So then he comes up with this whole formula that turns people into these horse people called equisapiens, where they're definitely stronger and more agile and can carry more shit and do all this stuff more like a piece of machinery. Because it's like, once they sign this contract, who gives a fuck how smart they are, what they can do?
Right.
You're just a product that moves other products for me. And that's what the movie's trying to say.
Okay. This was like, once it got to that point, I was like, unfortunately drifting in and out of this, and I'm like, I need to rewatch this whole thing. But unfortunately, there was no time in the day for me to do that. But like, this is one that I would go back and like rewatch to see what the fuck is going on near the end here, because I didn't find it off-putting.
No.
Because I'm like, this is a turn that I was like, I didn't see coming at all. And I don't know if before I was like really ready for this really big jump in its surrealness,
Yeah.
or not. But I found it fun, a fun idea. But I'm still not sure if I'm like 100% behind it or not.
Yeah. Well, what I said that I was going to talk about, like, the you kick the shit out of me scene or whatever. So, like, when Cassius is pretty much like, this is fucked, and then turns against the whole company after this, and then he finds out that he dropped his cell phone there, but he sent a video to his girlfriend of the Equisapiens when he like was like trying to find the bathroom, and then like ran to this big group of them. And so like he's like, well, I gotta get this video out. What am I gonna do? So then he goes and like gets on that "you kick the shit out of me" show, where it's like, okay, I'm only on here so I can show this video, and it's like, well, before you do it, we gotta do all this stuff to you. So like they send in people to like beat the fuck out of him, and they cover him in human shit. And then he's like, now can I show my video? I was like, okay, yeah, sure. So then that's him being like, see, people that, like, viral celebrities, like, they have to put up with people berating them and covering them in shit in order to really get their voice across. Okay, so yeah, I get that. Okay, cool. So, no. Google, shut up. So yeah, so they do all that, and then they get to this whole thing where he goes back to the protest group, and then they are actually successful in keeping the scabs from getting into the building. And then they're like, "Oh yeah, we did it! Yeah, we're successful." And then then like the movie almost ends with like him being like he holds his nose like and then he pulls his hands away, and his nostrils are super large, and he finds out he's turning into a horse person.
Oh boy.
And then they do like a weird, like, they show like the title of the movie, and then they do like an after credits thing where him and a bunch of other horse people storm Armie Hammer's house.
Okay.
That's the end of the movie.
Man, did not see it coming whatsoever. It's fucking nutso.
But yeah, I mean, I appreciate like the whole like horse person things. It's like you get to a point where like you even hear like what's going on with Amazon, where they have like countless people under their payroll there, and it's like they have people working for 10 hours straight in these warehouses that are so long that they're telling people to just bring buckets with them to their work line to like piss and shit in because there's nowhere that they can go to the bathroom. It's like we're getting to this point now where we're like so super capitalist that we're just like fuck you.
Fuck you.
We don't give a shit about like you like having to go to the bathroom. That's productivity that we can't have if you're going to the bathroom. We need you to stay at your post 24/7. And I feel like they comment on it in this, but I don't know, I feel like they could have got more out of it if they would have stuck to it, as opposed to also trying to comment on other things too.
Yeah, I agree. The I felt like the initial premise of just him putting on a white person voice and succeeding was like just an interesting enough idea for me to be already hooked.
Yeah.
And for all this other extra stuff to actually happen in the movie, that I was like, well, it's fun, and I kind of like the point that they're making, but I felt like you could already have that in a completely different movie.
Yeah.
So like you were saying before, like he was blowing his wad for all of his ideas, like maybe he kind of did, because maybe he thinks this was like his only chance to really make something. Maybe he was maybe he was apprehensive. He's like, I'm gonna put all my shit in.
Yeah, maybe.
And so like maybe that was the case, but like I felt like just the premise I was sold on would have been strong enough for a movie. Because like months later, like Black Klansman kind of has the same premise.
Yeah, kind of.
I mean, not really. Like they're trying to like infiltrate like the KKK. Yeah. And like a black guy is putting on like a white person voice to infiltrate there, and then like they actually give like a physical white person there
Yeah.
when they have to meet somebody in person. So it's like kind of like the same kind of idea.
Yeah.
So like I don't know, maybe one caught wind of the other and like they changed it.
Yeah.
Who knows? But
Yeah, I appreciate Sorry to Bother You for what it is. Like I said, if this guy makes another thing, I'll gladly watch it because I feel like he has a really cool eye for just how like his version of satire and like how he's really able to make these very outlandish environments and scenarios based on real life situations. But I feel like for this being his first outing, a lot of the things that he comments on is very heavy-handed.
yeah.
Like I feel like an episode of Atlanta would definitely take what he says and be able to draw it out to 30 minutes where like you're following this journey where it's like, where are they going with this? Like, why are they going down this route? Like, and then when they get to the actual theme of the whole episode, like it all gets to you where it's like, oh shit, now I gotta think back to this. Whereas in this, like, he just says it.
Yeah.
Like his whole thing where it's like, oh, well, I'm a viral star, so I gotta get my voice out there, and the only way I can do that is if people beat the shit out of me and shit on me. I mean, they literally beat the shit out of him and shit on him.
Yeah.
Like, they literally do that.
Yeah.
Like, you could find a way to include that without having literal beatings and getting shit on.
Right.
But he does that because it's like, well, I mean, it's a fast way to get this story across.
Yeah.
And I get it, but I feel like it's done in such a, here it is.
Uh-huh.
Like, you're not building to anything. You're just, here's this.
Yeah. and like it for me to like come to like a real grade in this too, I'm like having a hard time for a few reasons. One, that like I do agree with like what you're saying, and like there's still aspects I really like of this, and some that I'm like, I don't know if this really worked. And also like I didn't really the last like 20 minutes I wasn't completely cognizant on.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't want to like, I feel like the grade I'm going to give it wouldn't be fair.
Yeah.
But I still feel like it's high enough that the final grade, if I go to rewatch this again, if I'm fully alert,
Yeah.
would probably be the same.
Yeah.
So like I'm going to say it's probably like a B-.
Okay. I'll give it a very middle of the road B.
Okay.
Like, I appreciate it for what it was trying to say, and I thought it had some really cool ideas and concepts in it, but like I said before, I think they're all handled very heavy-handedly, and I feel like he could have included a little more intrigue to lead up to the theme, or even more of a way to connect to it, but I feel like he just puts it out there, and then he does it so much where a lot of the movie is just like, well, shit, what do I do now?
Yeah.
But in all honesty, I want to see more what this guy does. 'Cause
Yeah,
I
same.
really liked how he portrayed it. It's just that I feel like this is like typical like first time feel.
Like even like when I was watching this from the beginning and like I was fully cognizant of what's going on, there's still points where I'm just like, I like this movie, but I wonder if culturally it's just not for me.
Yeah.
Like it's saying something to a totally different crowd that they
Yeah.
would completely understand that I
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
And so like I had that thought like going through it. I was like,
Yeah.
maybe that's the case. And like I just can't resonate with what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, like there's a bunch of weird shit that happens in this. And maybe that's still the case, and like maybe I just can't put that together.
Yeah.
But
I
like,
mean, it says something when your main character, whose main goal is to be more successful and rich in life, his name is Cash is Green.
yeah, I put that together. But so maybe that's the case. But
Yeah.
fun fact, we brought up Atlanta a few times, that Donald Glover was actually going to be the main character in this.
Yeah.
But he couldn't because he was wrapped up doing Solo.
Yeah.
And so he recommended
Lakeith
Stanfield.
He's really good in Atlanta too.
Is he?
He's probably up next to Donald Glover. He's probably my favorite character in Atlanta.
Okay.
And I feel like if you even like a semblance of Sorry to Bother You, definitely check out Atlanta, because I feel like it comments on a lot of the things that Sorry to Bother You does, but it does it in a more interesting way. Like, they'll do episodes where you're just following a character and you have no idea why you are. You have no idea where they're going with what they're talking about, but it ends in a way where it's so poignant where you're like, well, fuck, now I gotta really think about, like, where they started and why they got to this point. And they do it in a way where it makes you actually think about, like, social issues like this.
Cool.
So, yeah, definitely check out Atlanta if you liked Sorry to Bother You.
I've been wanting to check out Atlanta for, like, the longest time. I was just like, my life is just... I think I said in the last few, my life is just piece of shit. Like, I can't ever get anything done. All I go to is, like, stuff for this, stuff for that, stuff for that. And I really can't fill in anything I want to actually do in between.
Well, that's why I try to lead you to some good stuff, Troy.
Thank you.
Because I know
Thank you, JD.
that you're going to force yourself to watch something good if it's for the show.
Good. You're true friend.
I try. I try.
But yeah, that's going to actually do it for the show, JT. If people have seen Atlanta, if people have seen Sorry to Bother You,
Yeah.
what can they chat with you about
Well,
it?
they can find me at Bucky Furman on Twitter. Also, Bucky Furman on Instagram. And you want Bucky Furman on Snapchat, Troy.
If you want to tell me how terrible I am at reviewing things, go ahead and do that at
least you watched some of this one. At least, and not any of it. Like Dawn of the Dead.
That's true.
Did you watch it yet?
No. And it will never happen again.
It'll never happen. Sorry, Eric. Jen Erico.
You can find me at Troy to the Max on Twitter. You can find us both at Review Pod on Twitter. If you happen to be the Facebook crowd, all of our new episodes are uploaded on that as well.
Oh, yeah.
And all of our new episodes are uploaded onto our hosting site, reviewpod.podbean.com.
Oh, yeah.
And if you don't listen there, that's fine, because we're everywhere on the internet.
Oh, yeah.
Such as places like Stitcher and Spotify and YouTube and Google Podcasts and Apple Podcasts. And speaking of the latter, if you happen to be a listener of the iTunes Apple Podcasts, if you rate and review us there, that'd be pretty great, because if you like the show, that helps other people find the show. And if you want to write into the show, you are more than welcome to do so at reviewpod@gmail.com.
Oh, yeah.
That will do it for this Monday Zep. Coming
right.
up on Thursday,
We're sticking to our what we missed in 2018 with A Quiet Place.
yes, you can find it on Amazon Prime for a 99-cent rental.
Sounds good to my ears.
At least that's what I saw a week ago when I wrote all these things down.
We'll see. We'll see once we get to it.
Yeah, full on purchase.
Yeah. Rent for $10.
But so yeah, I missed A Quiet Place during the year. I haven't seen it yet. JT,
Yep.
you did see it, right?
Saw it in theaters.
Well,
Probably one of the first
brag.
movies that I saw this year, actually.
Jesus, why don't you just rub it in? So this was my pick for what I missed during the year. And then for the next Monday show, we will decide that later on.
We'll let you know.
We'll let you know. So
We'll let you know.
check up on A Quiet Place. Refresh yourself if you haven't seen it whatever. But that'll be Thursday. But until then, JT,
Yeah.
I have been Short of the Max Extreme.
I am JT3K.
And we are off.
Jesus, I gotta piss so bad.